This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 1618. Weight Tracker. Why I Ditched the Scale for Good, and You Can Too. Part 1 by Karges of crystalkarges.com, and I'm Dr. Neil, your very own personal narrator. Hey there, happy Saturday, and welcome to another edition of Optimal Health Daily, where I read some of the best blogs covering health and fitness, just like an audiobook, and always with a bit of my commentary at the end. Now don't forget, we have a bunch of shows where we narrate blogs for you. Just search for Optimal Living Daily to find all of them. Now, today's post is a bit longer than what I typically narrate, so whenever this happens, I read the first half today and then finish it up for you tomorrow. So with that, let's get right to part 1 as we optimize your life. Weight Tracker. Why I Ditched the Scale for Good, and You Can Too. Part 1 by Karges of crystalkarges.com. I was first introduced to the scale in elementary school. It was an old-fashioned manual scale that stood tall in our hallway. I never thought much of it until I realized what it measured about myself. I remember stepping on it for the first time and figuring out how to jerry-rig the pieces to get it to tell me how much I weighed. While I don't recall the specific number, I do remember thinking that I needed to make that number shrink, thus beginning my destructive relationship and downward spiral with the scale. High school was the first time I actively began dieting. With prom just a couple of months away, I decided it was time to slim down to fit into my outfit. I bought Slim Fast and detox teas from the supermarket and was ready to jump on the dieting bandwagon in the name of health and thinness. The measure of my success? The scale, of course. At that point, I upgraded to a digital scale that could easily be hidden under the confines of my bed. Every morning before showering, eating, or drinking anything, I whipped it out and waited for the flashing numbers to show me the progress I made, or didn't make. It became a competition with myself, a ritual determining the course of my day. You see, if I stepped on the scale and didn't see that number had dropped, I punished myself by eating less that day, or exercising more. Even when I did see the number go down, it was never enough. Seeing a lower weight on the scale only pushed me to further rigidity with eating and exercise. When my parents started to become aware of what I was dealing with, they moved quickly to get rid of any scales in the house. But it didn't matter. I started driving to the gym just to weigh myself in the locker room first thing in the morning. I had to have a way of knowing what I would be allowed to eat or not eat during the course of my day. It became a vicious cycle that quickly escalated into a full-blown eating disorder, lasting from my late teens and into my early 20s. Recovering from my eating disorder was a grueling battle, which required the unlearning of so many things I thought to be true of myself and my worth. While eating disorders are the culmination of many complex factors working together to create the perfect storm, I see the subtle role the scale had in how I began to measure my worth and value. A major turning point in my healing journey with food and my body began with eliminating my scale. At first, the thought of not having it was terrifying. It had become so ingrained into my routine and food rules that I couldn't even imagine functioning without it. But once it was gone, I began to realize just how much of my precious mental space it had taken up. When I started focusing on feeding my body, regardless of what I weighed or without a scale to dictate my day, I understood just how much power I'd allowed it to have over my life. Without weighing myself daily, I was so much freer to actually listen to what my body needed, without allowing an arbitrary number dictate my health or my worth. Ditching diet culture, one scale at a time. I'm thankful to have enjoyed freedom with food and peace in my body for over a decade now, but it wasn't always like this. Now more than ever, diet culture is rampant and is going after our kids at younger and younger ages. Through my own healing journey, I have a renewed passion to support those also finding freedom with food in their bodies to live life to the fullest and not lose precious moments to diet culture. While challenging the magnitude of diet culture is overwhelming in itself, it comes down to the small steps, the things you can do today to reshape the way you feel about food and your body. For me, that small step was doing away with my scale for good. For too long, I let it dictate how I felt about my body or the way I should feed myself during the course of the day. It was a vicious battle I was never going to win, because no matter what the number on the scale said, it was never good enough. I gave it up because I wanted to stop obsessing over my weight and body size. I wanted to enjoy food freely without needing permission from the scale to eat. I didn't want to feel like I had to punish my body unnecessarily because of the numbers reflected back at me. I didn't want to be a slave to a number anymore. And honestly, I didn't realize how much of my life it had taken over until I let it go and stopped weighing myself every day. It's crazy that something so small and insignificant can take up so much space and brain power. But the best realization is understanding how you can take that power back, simply by not allowing it to be part of your life anymore. Getting rid of my scale was one of the best decisions I made for my food and body healing journey. Now, as a parent of 5 kids, I can't imagine living with a scale in our home. When we decided to grow our family, I knew I didn't want to drag my kids through my own food and body image issues. I didn't want the negative behaviors I lived with for so long to recycle to them. And it started with a small but powerful step forward, a commitment to letting go of the things that kept me in bondage for so long. To be continued. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, Weight Tracker, Why I Ditched the Scale for Good, and You Can Too, by Crystal Karges of crystalkarges.com. It's a new year and you deserve a fresh start in all parts of your life, even at work. Take your team to the next level with a hiring partner that makes it simple to find candidates with the right skills. That's Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. I love that Indeed makes hiring all in one place so easy. With Instant Match, over 90% of employers get quality candidates as soon as they sponsor their job post, according to Indeed data. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/health. Offer valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/health to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Dr. Neal here for my commentary. What we've learned from a number of published studies is that 1 or 2 days of overeating is likely not going to make a difference on body weight over the long term. That is, unless we let it. I'll explain. Say someone was good about planning their meals during the work week. So, Monday through Friday, their lunches and dinners were well planned and balanced, and they stuck to it. So they followed this plan and everything went smoothly. Then the weekend came along. There was no plan. Meals were skipped. Dinners were the largest meal of the day and were usually a not so balanced restaurant meal. Does this now mean that all of that hard work that took place Monday through Friday is now lost? No. Unless we let those 2 weekend days where we let loose cause us to completely go off track the following week, and the week after that, and the week after that. But if instead we tell ourselves, hey, I enjoyed myself those last 2 days, but I'm back to planning my meals for this upcoming week, then that's all that matters. And you'll find that over time, if you were to weigh yourself, that number on the scale probably didn't change over the course of those 2 weeks anyways. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing this show with someone. Sharing the show is one of the best things you can do to keep this going, so I appreciate you doing that. Don't forget, I'll be back here tomorrow to finish up this post, so I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.